these are stunning pictures, and in fact, we try not to keep them up too long because they're so stomach-turning and repulsive. And I don't care what side of the aisle, if you can abide these, there's something wrong with you. Why is this abided, if that's a word, by Anthony Fauci and those at the NIH that funded this kind of research, Kathy?
Well, NIH, Anthony Fauci, and Francis Collins, who fortunately is leaving at the end of this year, are mired in an outdated system of doing scientific research. We know that 90% of basic research, most of it involving animals, fails to lead to treatments for humans. And yet half of NIH's budget goes to this. And so many times you'll see these horrible experiments, the things that you would never normally ever do to an animal, even if you were the most evil person on earth. But these things are routinely funded by NIH. We really need new leadership there.
You had called for the resignation of Francis Collins from NIH. Are you calling now for the resignation of Dr. Anthony Fauci?
Yes, I think everybody who heads an NIH agency right now should resign. We see the same kind of attitude toward animal tests throughout the agency. Why so much time and so much money is spent on something that doesn't work, they should have to answer for. But more importantly, they need to embrace modern research methods. We have put that together. It's called PETA's Research Modernization Deal. It was done by our scientists, and it offers a strategy to go forward to avoid these kinds of hideous experiments and actually do research that's going to lead to treatments for people.
And modern research practices, I assume, are adopted more readily in the United States, which may explain why they're trying to fund these things outside of the United States. How do you control that? How do you keep that from happening?
There needs to be a better system in place for seeing where this money goes. Part of the problem we have is that the review study committees at NIH are made up of people who do animal experiments. So they're looking at the proposals for funding and they're saying, well, I know something about this, let's fund that. We need new review boards. We need an entirely new system in place. And most importantly, we need to start with getting rid of what we know doesn't work.
What about gain of function research? Because I know specifically back in 2017, Francis Collins and Anthony Fauci themselves made some moves that lessened oversight when it came to funding that type of research specifically. Are you concerned about the lack of oversight when it comes to funding?
Most definitely. The lack of oversight and the lack of transparency. And frankly, what amounted to lies on the part of Fauci and Collins about what they were actually funding. They were told this could not happen. They called it by other names. They made the process of review relatively secret, and they went ahead with it, even though it was against the wishes of the Congress.
What are your next steps to try to accomplish what you're describing, which essentially is a change in leadership at the NIH?
Well, we started calling for Francis Collins' resignation in July. We're happy to see that somebody listened, and he is going out. Now, I think it's extremely important that all Americans get in touch with President Biden and they urge him to replace Francis Collins with somebody who's a visionary leader, somebody who understands that we need a new way forward. We need to embrace research that's going to work. We need to get rid of the outdated animal studies, and we need to embrace the research modernization deal.
Kathy Guillermo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.